What's happening around the world?
And what's happening here at home? A very good evening. You're watching Primetime News here on TV1. Bringing you the news, I am Hashni Patirana.
And I'm Sandra Ferdinando. Let's take a look at your headlines for tonight.
Newsfirst headlines. Main sponsor.
A trusted place for your fixed deposit. Valuable FD, a symbol of stability.
President reaffirms safety of tourists and citizens. Tourism Alliance condemns embassy security advisories as a cruel joke on Sri Lanka's tourism industry. Are security advisories part of an international conspiracy? Association of Small and Medium-Sized Tourism Entrepreneurs questions motives. Was there a hidden network behind the Easter attacks? Sunanda Deshapriya reveals new insights. Sri Lanka A thrash Pakistan A to reach final of Emerging Teams Asia Cup.
Newsfirst headlines. Main sponsor.
A trusted place for your fixed deposit. Valuable FD, a symbol of stability.
Top in news here at home, President Anura Kumara Dissanayake has assured that the safety of tourists and citizens in Sri Lanka is currently secured. The president made this statement during a meeting with the South African High Commissioner to Sri Lanka, Sandil Edwin Shock, this morning.
South African High Commissioner to Sri Lanka, Sandil Edwin Shock, met with President Anura Kumara Dissanayake for a discussion during which special attention was given to the current security situation in Sri Lanka. The President emphasized that the safety of tourists and citizens in the country is assured. The High Commissioner also conveyed South Africa's support for the continuous implementation of peace and national reconciliation process in Sri Lanka.
The Sri Lanka Tourism Development Authority announced that the safety of tourists arriving in Sri Lanka has been assured.
Israel සංචාරකයෝ මේ වෙනකොට අද මේ මාසේ පමණක් 1400ක්.
Currently, around 1,400 Israeli tourists have arrived this month alone, with approximately 500 still in the country. These tourists are particularly interested in Arugam Bay, known for its surfing. We have ensured all necessary safety measures for these tourists. They are conducting their activities as usual, with special attention given to their safety by the Sri Lanka Police and the Tourist Police. During the tourist season, we observe an increase in tourist arrivals, not just in one area but across all tourist zones. For example, Hikkaduwa, Unawatuna, Alla, Nuwara and Kandy are all significant tourist destinations. These areas are bustling with tourists. Ensuring their basic safety, providing necessary services and facilitating their needs are responsible of all tourism service providers. We urge everyone to deliver the highest standard of service to our tourists.
උපරිම සේවාව ඉහළම ප්‍රමිතියකින් සංචාරකයන්ට ලබා දෙන්නයි කියලා.
The Sri Lanka Tourism Alliance has questioned whether the recent security alert by a group of foreign embassies was some kind of a cruel joke being played on Sri Lanka and its vital tourism industry, which is crucial to economic recovery. Malik Fernando, the chairman of the Sri Lanka Tourism Alliance, in a statement pointed out that Sri Lanka's tourism industry faces new challenges as recent travel advisories from the United States and the United Kingdom.
Malik Fernando, the chairman of the Sri Lanka Tourism Alliance, in a statement pointed out that the timing and language of these advisories, viewed by many as overly broad, have sparked concerns within Sri Lanka's tourism sector, with some questioning the impact of blanket advisories on destinations heavily dependent on international tourism. The chair of the Sri Lanka Tourism Alliance criticized the uncalibrated response of foreign embassies, describing the advisories as disproportionate to the actual situation. He said that the uncalibrated response from foreign embassies displays a callousness towards Sri Lanka and its tourism sector, which plays a critical role in uplifting millions in rural communities still recovering from recent serious economic setbacks.
This did not reflect reality in terms of Sri Lanka being unsafe for travelers, because there was an alert. Every country in the world has hundreds of alerts probably every day, and then the authorities acted on the alerts. If the authorities did not do anything about the alerts, then fair enough that foreign missions can escalate. But given the actions that were taken, which were comprehensive, and a couple of people were arrested, there was no need to amplify the fact that there were risks to the whole world, and that's what advisories do. And particularly for countries like Sri Lanka, which are recovering after a series of economic crises and problems since 2019, when you put out a message to the world, I mean, this is picked up by the international media, that there's a safety issue in Sri Lanka. Initially, the message was in Arugambe. Then it transformed to say that all of Sri Lanka is facing terror threats, which is laughable because all these people who are potential victims and targets, I see walking around laughing, eating ice creams, drinking tea and coffee in cafes all over the south coast, east coast and Colombo. So the advisories were totally inappropriate. They were not required at all, and it made what was a moderate security situation seem drastic to the point where the industry started receiving multiple cancellations, and which will continue for the next couple of weeks. Now I understand the advisories will be revised and corrected shortly, but the damage is done. So that's what makes me and many others in the industry angry. Particularly countries like Sri Lanka, where again our tourism marketing communications is very weak. Travelers look at advisories and the advisories get picked up by foreign media and as I said, amplified to make Sri Lanka seem unsafe. So honestly, the advisories should be revised. The governments concerned should say that there is no longer any risk, that they are satisfied with the steps taken by the authorities, which is what they say personally, but they need to put that on the record, and the bookings should continue because the importance of the tourism industry in uplifting rural communities, I would say 5 million people or 25% of our population are dependent on tourism in one way or the other. It is the most important industry for socio-economic upliftment in this country. So anyone who tinkers with it and issues, in my personal view, and I think others share this, irresponsible messages about the safety in Sri Lanka are doing us great damage. It is very, very inconsiderate.
This was today's situation in Arugambe.
I'm from America, happy to be here in Arugambe, happy to be here, appreciate the country of Sri Lanka for looking after me. I wasn't aware of the American warning until I got here. I feel very grateful to the Special Task Force and Sri Lankan government for protecting me. I think everything is wonderful here.
Arugambe now, it's one of the safest and most friendly places I've ever travelled to anywhere in the world. I come here every year, the same time, never had a problem. Safe, secure and very warm and friendly. Came from Sydney, Australia.
The Arugambe Tourism and Industry Foundation expressed their views on the matter.
We would like
to request that following the establishment of the new government, if any group is planning to create new issues in a time when Sri Lanka is free of problems, especially regarding the matter, we urge President Anrukumara Dissanayake to pay special attention. According to his instructions, the police and military officers have intervened, and the police spokesperson has said that 2 individuals have been taken into custody. We ask the public to support these efforts. Therefore, claims that tourists should not come to these areas or that hotels should be closed is a baseless lie. When you look at that area now, you can see tourists from other countries. There has never been any issue for Israelis in Arugambe. This is an attempt to create a problem that exists in other countries. We, from Arugambe, assure the public that there is no problem in coming to Arugambe. No one will hinder you.
කරුණා කරලා අරුගම්බෙට එන්න කිසි ප්‍රශ්නයක් නැහැ කවුරුත් ඔයගොල්ලන් බාධා කරන්නත් නැහැ එන්න ඔයගොල්ලන් විනෝදේ කරන්න
The Association of Small and Medium-Sized Tourism Entrepreneurs held a press conference in Galle today.
We suspect that there might be a conspiracy behind this. It could be a domestic or foreign plot. Therefore, we, the Association of Small and Medium-Sized Tourism Entrepreneurs, urge the President to immediately investigate this matter. If such an attack has indeed been orchestrated to bring down our tourism industry, we need to know who is behind it. It is a legitimate concern because every time our tourism sector starts to recover, some disaster strikes the country. We have been battered and bruised by these continuous setbacks, and it makes us very concerned. The People's Struggle Alliance expressed their views on this issue in Kandy.
Several countries have issued travel advisories regarding Sri Lanka, which could result in the loss of the $3 billion in revenue we expected next year. This loss could lead to a significant economic collapse in Sri Lanka. Such a collapse could be exploited by imperialist financial entities, including the International Monetary Fund and organizations like the CIA and Mossad, to impose their political agendas on Sri Lanka, subjugating and controlling us. The threat we face is not just a security threat, but a multifaceted crisis, much like a seven-headed dragon. It includes economic and political dangers as well. Even if the security threat is managed, the barriers to tourism will not be removed because many countries, including the United States, Russia, China, Australia, and the United Kingdom have issued travel warnings. Simply stating that security is assured will not bring tourists back, nor will it prevent those already here from leaving. Therefore, immediate and sufficient measures must be taken to revive the tourism industry. Ranil has set various traps for us, including an IMF trap, which is like a time bomb said to explode in 2028. He also initiated war tourism, bringing in Zionist soldiers and inciting actions against the Muslim community in Sri Lanka. We urge the new government and the new president not to fall into the traps set by Ranil.
Journalist Sunanda Deshapriya shared his thoughts on the book written about the Easter Sunday terrorist attacks during an event last evening in Kurunegala.
There is another network operating under the state, capable of doing whatever it wants. They keep information to themselves and were fully aware of this situation. This group was involved with Zaharan's team. In 2017, Pillayan and 7 others were arrested for the assassination of Joseph Pararajasingham. Among them was a person named Khalil, who was also part of this group. Shanakyan Rasamanika mentioned that Khalil was not just anyone, he was a sergeant in military intelligence. Khalil was involved with Pillayan's group, and at the same time Zaharan's brother Shaini Maulavi and another group were imprisoned for attacking Muslims in Kartankudi. These groups were together. Azad Maulana, Pillayan's former secretary now in Switzerland, stated that these groups have joined forces. Khalil, along with members of Pillayan's group, were arrested by Shani Abesekara's team for questioning. However, the military intervened, claiming Khalil was part of a state secret and took him away. Since 2017, we have to ask what information was obtained from him in those 2 years. What happened to Nias, who blew himself up during the Saindamarudi incident? He was also part of Zaharan's group. There was a network within the state intelligence service, including Khalil and another person named Sonic. Sarath Weerasekara, a former powerful minister in Mahinda Rajapaksa's government and former police minister in Gotabe's government, admitted in parliament that these were their people and they would not betray them. He acknowledged that they obtained information from these individuals. This means the government and state intelligence were aware of Zaharan's group. This issue was not addressed due to political motives. 52% of the Sri Lankan population believes there was a political interest behind the Easter attacks. If someone benefited from the crime, they are likely involved. We know a regime change occurred.
ලංකාවේ ජනතාවගෙන් 52% විශ්වාස කරන්නේ පාස්කු ප්‍රහාරයේ පිටුපස දේශපාලන නන්දුවක් තිබුණයි කියලා. අපරාධයෙන් වාසි ලැබුණා නම් අන්න ඒගොල්ලෝ අපරාධයට සම්බන්ධයි කියලා සැක කරන්න පුළුවන්. එතකොට අපි දන්නවා ආණ්ඩු පෙරලියක් සිද්ධ වුණා.
Sri Lanka's airport and aviation services reaffirmed its commitment to passenger safety following recent indictment regarding the bomb scare on Vistara flights to Colombo.
Retired Air Chief Marshal Harsha Bewikrama, chairman of Airport and Aviation Services Sri Lanka Private Limited, said that Sri Lanka's civil airport operator AASL prioritizes the safety and security of passengers and airport users in close coordination with all relevant safety and security authorities. Abhay Vikrama stated that AASL operates in full compliance with the International Civil Aviation Organization and the Civil Aviation Authority of Sri Lanka, adhering strictly to internationally recognized protocols to manage and respond to such situations effectively. Passengers and airport users are assured that their safety remains AASL's utmost priority. He said that the management, along with other service providers, is actively taking all necessary steps to ensure a pleasant and secure journey for passengers at Sri Lanka's airports.
One of the main reasons our country fell into an economic crisis was the decline in revenue. Now, there are several reasons for this. Tonight, we take a look at the most significant reason among them.
What happened to Sri Lanka?
Taxes are a primary source of revenue for any country, and ours is no different. Revenue is generated through direct taxes such as income tax and indirect taxes like VAT. When questioning what happened to our country, it is essential to examine what occurred with this tax revenue. Reckless tax cuts, tax benefits given to cronies, and the inability to collect due taxes properly have been significant reasons for the loss of targeted tax revenue. On the 21st August 2024, Partili Champika Ranawaka, chairman of the Parliamentary Committee on Public Accounts, revealed in a committee report that 7.9 billion rupees in excise taxes were due.
WM Mendes සමාගම රුපියල් බිලියන 3.47
Companies like WM Mendes owe 3.47 billion rupees, Wymer Distillers and Royal Ceylon owe 560 million rupees, Wymer Spirits owe 281 million rupees, Globe Vendors owe 1.148 billion rupees, Macallan Breweries owe 619 million rupees, and Kaludara Cooperative Distilleries owe 17 million rupees.
අලුතර සම්පකාර ඩිස්ටිලර්ස් රුපියල් මිලියන 17ක් හැටියට තියෙනවා.
When taxes are not paid, it is possible for the licenses to be revoked or not renewed. Whether this has been done is unclear, but some companies have reportedly received grace periods. Another issue is the importation of large quantities of potatoes, onions, dried fish, mung beans and Maldive fish. The Parliamentary Committee on Public Accounts recently revealed the extraordinary profits made from these imports. Last year, the profit from selling a kilogram of imported onions in the Colombo wholesale market was 273 rupees. Potatoes yielded 93 rupees per kilogram, dried fish 811 rupees and 50 cents per kilogram, mung beans 848 rupees per kilogram, and Maldive fish 2,319 rupees per kilogram. While the country's people suffer from an economic crisis, a few individuals have made extraordinary profits, raising questions from the Committee on Public Accounts about whether appropriate taxes were paid on these earnings. According to the committee's report, 4,773 individuals owe more than 100 million rupees in unpaid taxes. During the Mawata Intellectual Discussion Program, former Senior Inland Revenue Commissioner Sarath Abeyratna highlighted the issue of unpaid income taxes.
ලංකාවේ බදු ක්‍රමය තුල තියෙන දුර්වලමතාවය තමයි ටැක්ස් බේස් එක අඩුයි. ඒ කියන්නේ බදු ගෙවන්නන්ගේ ප්‍රමාණය බොහොම අඩුයි. මම ඒ ෆයිල් ප්‍රමාණය කියන්නම් තියෙන ෆයිල් ප්‍රමාණය ඔබට කිව්වොත් පුදුම හිතේ. ඇත්තටම 2011-12 වෙනකොට 8 ලක්ෂ ගණන් 11 ලක්ෂ ගණන් තිබ්බ ෆයිල් ප්‍රමාණය බදු ගෙවන්නන්ගේ ප්‍රමාණය 2019-20 වෙනකොට ලක්ෂ 5ට විතර අඩු වුණා. ඒකෙනුත් වැඩි ප්‍රමාණයක් ඉන්නේ ඔබ වගේ සේවා නියුක්තකයන්ගේ බදු ගෙවන.
ඔබතුමා කියන්නේ පුද්ගලික ආදායම් බද්දද?
පුද්ගලික ආදායම් බද්ද ගෙවන ප්‍රමාණය ලක්ෂ 2කට වඩා අඩුයි ලංකාවේ. පසුගිය ආණ්ඩුව කෙරුවේ ලේසියෙන්ම ගන්න පුළුවන් දන ඔබගේ සේවා යෝජකයාට දැනුම් දුන්නාම මේ කපලා එවන්න කියලා. බොහොම ලේසි. හැබැයි මීට වැඩිය මේ ටැක්ස් බේස් එක පුළුල් කරන්න ඕනේ.
අබේරත මහත්තයා කොච්චර විතර වගේ තියෙනවද නොගෙවූ බදු දෙපාර්තමේන්තුවේ තියෙන ඉලක්කම් වල හැටි?
ඇත්තටම තියෙනවා නම් බිලියන 1000කට වැඩිය තියෙනවා.
ඒ කියන්නේ
බිලියන.
ඔව්. ඒ කියන්නේ ට්‍රිලියන් එකකට වැඩිය.
ට්‍රිලියන එකකට වැඩිය තියෙනවා. හැබැයි ඒක කොටස් කීපයකට බෙදලා තියෙනවා. ඒ කියන්නේ ඩිස්පියුටඩ් කියලා. 500ක් විතර ඩිස්පියුටඩ් 500ක් දැනටන් හදලා තියෙන බිලියන 300ක් 400ක් තමයි රිකවර් ඒ කියන්නේ අය කරගන්න පුළුවන් කියලා. මුළු පෙනල්ටි සහ මුළු හිගබදු බිලියන 1000කට වැඩි තියෙනවා.
දැන් මේ නීතිය ප්‍රමාණවත්ද ඔය නොගෙවා සිටින බදු අය කරගන්න?
හොඳටම නීතිය ප්‍රමාණවත්.
වහාම කරන්න ඕනේ මොකක්ද?
වහාම කරන්න ඕනේ හොයන්න ඕනේ මේවට සම්බන්ධ වෙච්ච දඬුවමක් දෙන්න නැතුව මොනවත් කරන්න බැහැනේ.
According to Sri Lanka's agreement with the IMF, the country needs to increase its revenue. Next year's tax revenue target is 14% of GDP. By June this year, it was around 12.9%. Should new taxes be imposed on an already burdened population? Shouldn't authorities ensure the proper collection of existing taxes? Shouldn't authorities take swift action to collect unpaid taxes? Shouldn't authorities hold those responsible accountable? What will be done now? The public is watching these issues closely.
The power of the people.
A trusted place for your fixed deposit. Valuable FD, a symbol of stability.
දිවිය සරු කරන්න ගන්නා වෙහෙස නැත ගොඩයාමක් තිබෙන දුෂ්කරතා හමුවේ එනමුදු දහසක් ලෙඩරෝග බොන්නට පිරිසිදු වතුර නැතුව නිකවරටිය කොටවෙහෙර 257 දිගන්නාව ජනතාවගේ හිත සුව පිණිස පිරිසිදු ජල පෙරණ පද්ධතියකට මුල් කළ තැබූ වගයි.
Welcome back. Continuing in more local news, President Anura Kumar Dissanayake has instructed the Ministry of Agriculture and the Paddy Marketing Board to take immediate steps to address the issue of the rice prices.
President Anura Kumar Dissanayake provided directives during a meeting with officials from the Ministries of Agriculture and Trade as well as the Paddy Marketing Board held this morning at the President's office. During the meeting, the President emphasized the need for urgent measures to stabilize rice prices. Additionally, the President held discussions with a group of small and medium-sized rice traders focusing on increasing their storage capacities to help balance the rice market. President Dissanayake stressed that no trader would be allowed to unfairly profit by increasing the controlled price of rice.
Sri Lanka, Sri Lanka decides. Sri Lanka decides.
The National Election Commission said that all preparations for the LPDA Pradesh Sabha election have been completed. The Election Commissioner General Saman Sri Ratnayaka provided clarifications during a press conference held today.
Currently, 9 groups have submitted their nominations. Accordingly, the voting will be at 48 polling stations within the LPDA Pradesh Sabha jurisdiction. Today, all relevant officials and materials will be transported to these polling stations and the officials will remain on site. Voting will commence at 7 a.m. tomorrow and conclude at 4 p.m. This local government election will be conducted under a mixed proportional representation system. The ballot papers will include political parties and independent groups contesting the election. Voters will cast their votes for a political party and the candidate representing that party in the respective division.
සලකුණු කරන ආකාරයට දේශපාලන පක්ෂය එම පක්ෂයෙන් එම කොට්ටාශයෙන් ඉදිරිපත් වූ අපේක්ෂකයාට තමයි ඔහුට ඒ ඡන්දය ලැබෙන්නේ.
The Election Commission General also shared his thoughts regarding the upcoming general election.
For
the parliamentary election scheduled for the 14th November 2024, postal voting commenced on the 23rd of last month. However, postal voting in the Vanni and Colombo districts was temporarily suspended due to ongoing court cases. With the court decisions now in place, postal voting in these districts will proceed today. Postal voters will be able to cast their votes at their respective workplaces on the 30th October, 1st November and 4th November. Those unable to vote at their workplaces can do so at special polling stations set up at the district election offices on the 7th November and 8th November. I urge everyone to cast their votes on the designated days to ensure a smooth process. The dates provided are for your convenience, and it is the responsibility of the certifying officers to ensure that the voting process is conducted smoothly and in accordance with regulations.
ආකාරයෙන් ඡන්දය සලකුණු කරන්න. මොකද මේ දින ගාන ඔබට ලබා දීලා තියෙන්නේ ඔබේ පහසුව සඳහා ඉඳා ඒ අදාළ දිනවලදී දින එක් ඒ ආකාරයෙන් ඡන්දය සලකුණු කිරීම සම්බන්ධයෙන් ඉසි ආකාරයට බලා සකස් කර ගැනීම සාතිකන්දාගේ වගකීමක් වෙනවා.
එළඹෙන මහමැතිවරණයටත් පාට කරන ඇඟිල්ලේ වෙනසක් වෙනවද කොහොමද ඒ සම්බන්ධයෙන්?
ජනාධිපතිවරණයේදී සුළඟිල්ලේ
In the presidential election, we used the little finger for marking, and that color has not faded. For the LPT election tomorrow, we will use the thumb. Similarly, for the parliamentary election on the 14th November 2024, the Commission has decided to use the index finger for marking with the appropriate ink.
News First with the people.
Russian President Vladimir Putin told BRICS leaders that the Middle East was on the brink of a full-scale war after a sharp rise in tension between Israel and Iran. Much discussion at the summit in the Russian city of Kazan was dedicated to the violence in the Middle East.
The leaders of the BRICS countries gathered in Kazan, Russia over the past few days for a series of discussions. The BRICS members include Brazil, Russia, India, China and South Africa. Several countries, including the United Arab Emirates and Iran, participate as unofficial members. During this summit, the Secretary of Sri Lanka's Ministry of Foreign Affairs expressed the country's interest in obtaining BRICS membership. This announcement was made following a request from the President. Russian President Vladimir Putin told the BRICS summit that the Middle East was on the verge of full-scale war. Putin told world leaders in Kazan that started a year ago in Gaza has now spread to Lebanon, while other countries in the region are also affected. Putin said at the summit attended by Palestinian leader Mahmoud Abbas that violence in the Middle East will not end until the creation of an independent Palestinian state. The Russian president said that the key demand for restoring peace and stability on Palestinian territories is carrying out the two-state formula approved by the UN Security Council and General Assembly. He added that this would be correcting the historical injustice towards the Palestinian people. Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas thanked Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin for addressing the Palestinian issue during the BRICS summit while speaking at a bilateral meeting in Kazan. Abbas insisted that the Palestinians would never leave Gaza and the West Bank despite Israel's military activity. In turn, Putin said Russia is working towards an early cessation of bloodshed, calling for a political and diplomatic settlement of the conflict and the creation of an independent, sovereign Palestinian state. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres said that the BRICS intergovernmental organization can play a greater role in strengthening multilateralism for global development and security. He urged the bloc to help forge a more equitable global finance system, boost climate action, improve access to technology, and work towards peace, particularly in Gaza, Lebanon, Ukraine, and Sudan. Israel's attacks on the United Nations interim force in Lebanon, also known as UNIFIL, mark a further deterioration in a relationship that has been difficult since the founding of Israel in 1948. According to a leaked UNIFIL report, Israel has attacked UN positions 12 times, at times even using white phosphorus against soldiers mandated by the international community to keep the peace. US Secretary of State Antony Blinken has pledged to work with real urgency for a diplomatic resolution to end Israel's offensive in Lebanon, but said it was first critical to reach understandings on disarmament of Hezbollah. Meeting Lebanon's caretaker Prime Minister Najib Mikati in London, Blinken also pleaded for protection of civilians but stopped short of urging an immediate ceasefire by Israel, which relies on US diplomatic and military support. Lebanon's caretaker Prime Minister Mikati says his government's priority is reaching a ceasefire and deterring the Israeli aggression. Lebanon's health minister said more than 160 rescuers and health workers had been killed in Israeli attacks during more than a year of fighting between Israel and Hezbollah. As of 24th October, preliminary investigations by the New York-based Committee to Protect Journalists, also known as CPJ, showed at least 128 journalists and media workers were among the more than tens of thousands killed in Gaza, the occupied West Bank and Lebanon since the war began. So far, over 42,000 people have died in Palestine due to Israeli attacks, with the majority being women and children. In Israel, approximately 1,700 civilians and military personnel have also lost their lives, according to local media reports.
The World Health Organization said that a proposal by Sri Lanka has been selected for a $17 million grant.
Sri Lanka's comprehensive proposal, One Vision, One Shield, Sri Lanka's integrated One Health pandemic preparedness and response, has been awarded a $17 million grant in the Pandemic Fund's second round of funding allocations. This proposal was developed with the support of 5 key implementing agencies: the Food and Agriculture Organization, the Asian Development Bank, the World Health Organization and UNICEF in collaboration with One Health stakeholders in Sri Lanka. The grant will be distributed over a 3-year period starting in January 2025. It aims to implement the recommendations from Sri Lanka's most recent joint external evaluation and the subsequent National Action Plan for Health Security. The focus areas include enhancing surveillance, laboratory capacities and the health workforce. In addition to this grant, Sri Lanka is also a beneficiary of a multi-country proposal submitted for the WHO Southeast Asia region.
Taste of Turkey, a food festival in collaboration with the Turkey Embassy of Sri Lanka and Maldives, and was held at the Golf Face Hotel in Colombo yesterday.
The food festival was graced by the presence of Semir Lufur Turgut, Ambassador of the Republic of Turkey to Sri Lanka and Maldives, and Fatih Bozkurt, the country manager of Turkish Airlines for Sri Lanka and Maldives, alongside with distinguished guests and media personalities who gathered to celebrate and enjoy the authentic Turkish feast.
Food festivals are one-of-a-kind dining emotional experience that does not come by all the time. It is also difficult to find an opportunity to choose from a dozen or more dishes without a food festival. Turkish cuisine is a timeless and balanced cuisine, shaped by more than 1,000 years of culture, traditions and social heritage. It's a combination of both past and present, while keeping the knowledge of our ancestors. It is also has a room for innovation and change over the time. I sincerely welcome all of our friends and guests to visit Turkey and to truly take part in gastronomic experience that we offer.
The festival showcases a meticulously curated buffet by the Golf Face Hotel culinary team and the skilled chefs from Turkey, who were flown in to offer Colombo the essence of Turkish cuisine with traditional dishes that reflect the country's culinary heritage.
The Sri Lanka A team has qualified for the final of the 2024 Emerging Teams Asia Cup T20 cricket tournament, and they secured their place by defeating the Pakistan A team by 7 wickets in the semi-final.
This year's Emerging Teams Asia Cup T20 tournament is being hosted by Oman. The first semi-final between Sri Lanka A and Pakistan A was held at the Al Amirat cricket ground. Batting first, Pakistan A scored 135 runs for the loss of 9 wickets. Opener Umair Yusuf top scored with 68 runs. Sri Lanka's bowlers performed exceptionally well, restricting 7 Pakistani batsmen to scores below 10 runs. Dushan Hemantha took 4 wickets for 21 runs, while Nipun Ransikar and Eshan Malinga claimed 2 wickets each. Chasing a target of 136, Sri Lanka A lost their first wicket at 24 runs. However, Ahan Wickramasinghe and Lahir Udara stabilised the innings with a 64-run partnership for the second wicket. Lahir Udara scored 43 runs, including 6 fours and 2 sixes. Ahan Wickramasinghe remained unbeaten on 52 runs of 46 balls with 4 fours and a 6. Sri Lanka A achieved the target in 16.3 overs with 3 wickets down. Dushan Hemantha was named the player of the match.
Also in cricket, it is reported that Pathum Nissanka will be playing in the 3rd ODI against the West Indies tomorrow.
The third match of the Sri Lanka-West Indies ODI series will be held tomorrow at the Pallakele International Cricket Stadium. Sri Lanka, the host nation, has already secured the series 2-0. Both teams' players engaged in practice sessions today in preparation for tomorrow's match. During a press conference today, the team's assistant coach Tilna Kandambi provided an update on Pathum Nissanka's health, who missed the last 2 matches due to injury.
Pathum is ready to play. Our goal is to build a world-class team and everyone is focused on that. We still have areas to improve, but I believe we have made significant progress. I have asked the players batting at numbers 5 and 6 to continue their innings until the end of the match. Charit, as a captain, took on that responsibility and batted exceptionally well in the last game. I don't expect major changes because we aim to win every match. We will likely use the players who are in good form.
Tomorrow's match is scheduled to start at 2:30 p.m.
And with that, we wrap up Primetime News for tonight.
Thank you for watching. Good night.